Hi, I'm Monnie Aleahmad, your host on Train Talk, where we talk with a lot of interesting individuals about their lives, their passions, and what makes them human. So, join us, because we're all riders on this train called life. Thanks for coming on the train. Welcome to Train Talk. Why don't we start by telling us who you are?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on the train.
Oh,
it's a beautiful train.
Yeah.
And, I'm just really looking forward to this journey.
Yeah.
My name is Kavi. I'm an actor and a filmmaker. I started my career as an actor in Hollywood many years ago. And then I transitioned slowly into writing and directing. And now I kind of divide my time in between all of these different facets of filmmaking and the film industry.
Yeah.
I do act still, and I write as much as I can. And direct. I try and do 3 to 4 projects a year that I write and direct.
Oh,
that's kind of like where I am in my life right now.
Wow, man, 3 or 4 projects a year that you're creating, still acting, still out there. You're a very busy man.
I try and stay busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those people who always likes working.
Yeah.
And likes having my hand in something or another.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when you started, I guess, your entertainment career journey, I guess, as an actor?
Yeah, I have a pretty, I would say, interesting background. I came into the entertainment industry, pursued acting as a profession when I was about, I think, 23. And I'd gone to college. I studied a totally different profession. I was going to be an engineer. I did a master's in industrial engineering, and but loved acting. I was doing some theater on the side in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And one day, and I had a really cushy engineering job that I was working in this industry in Redwood City. And one day decided, no, this is not for me. I want to pursue acting as a career. And moved to Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from San Francisco, from the Bay Area, and never went back. I mean, I go back a lot, but in
they don't
little
allow
sense.
You back. You come back and they say, no, go back. No. That's cool. Was there like a specific catalyst that put you down that path?
Not really. I'm one of those people that when I make a decision to do something, I just have to do it. I just have to put my heart and soul into it. I don't give up easy.
Yeah.
These are some traits and virtues or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I always had. I think I've been lucky. I have a background in sports. I played sports, all kinds of sports. I played soccer, football, at a fairly high level. I played a game called field hockey.
Oh yeah.
Which they're showing it in the Olympics right now.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful game. I captained the U.S. national team in the sport. So I always had this sort of I would say sort of a very a side to me that wanted to always express.
Yeah.
And sports allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that, as you see, there's a certain future in sport, or maybe not. Hockey was not a professional sport, even though I played at a very high level.
Yeah.
And soccer, I tried soccer. At that time, soccer as a professional sport wasn't that big in the USA.
No.
So I kind of like I was sort of like at a semi-professional level. There was a team called the San Jose Earthquake. Well, they're still around, San Jose Earthquake. They're in the MLS now. And I played on a team that used to be their practice team, that they would practice with us.
Sure.
We were there sort of like a C team, B team, that kind of thing. But I couldn't really see myself at a level that I could pursue sports in the professional sort of level.
That's fair.
And I needed another outlet, I think, to express myself creatively, and that was acting. Yeah.
Were like the people around you, friends and family, were they like supportive of that choice?
That's interesting, because I come, I'm Indian. I come from a Punjabi Indian family.
Yeah.
There's no sort of a history of this kind of work or this kind of creativity in my family. My father was a soldier and a farmer, and My brother worked in the technical side of business. No one else is, had this sort of a passion or a pursuit.
Yeah.
Just me. So when I announced to my family that I was going to become an actor, and I was going to move to Los Angeles and pursue this fully, it was a pleasant shock, I think. I say pleasant because being a son, a young son in the family, my family was always very supportive. My father was very supportive, by the way. Yeah, it was some reason. My father and my brother.
Oh, that's great.
They thought it was great that I wanted to try something like this, and my mother not so.
Okay.
She could never understand.
Okay.
She was even when I was quite successful as an actor. I was on a TV series and I was working constantly.
Yeah.
She would always say, "Get a job." You're an engineer.
I get it. Parents, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. That's beautiful. I feel like, because it seems like throughout whatever troubles there were, you always were very strongly connected to your family.
Oh yeah, always. I mean, my father and my mother passed away, and thank you. I still have part of my family in the Bay Area, the town Hayward where I came from, and my brother's there. And I actually go there every couple of weeks, every 2-3 weeks. I do the drive, and I've done the drive thousands of times.
Yeah.
And just to see him, my friends who are still there. So I still have the connection to the Bay Area, and I still call the Bay Area my home.
That's beautiful.
After about 45 odd years.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. So let's dig a little bit more into you as an artist then. Like, what is there something that defines you as a filmmaker, creative? What makes you?
I think more of my background, like where I come from.
Sure.
And I always say I'm a combination of many cultures. I was born in India, but I grew up in England, and have lived most of my life here in America. And I always saw myself, more than the place that I come from. I come from a very tiny village in North India in Punjab, but I've seen a lot of the world. I've lived in different cultures and different societies. So I think I'm a product of, I always say, like 3 different worlds, 3 different cultures, 3 different continents.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of see in my work as well. It's hard for me to sort of like, place myself in one particular sort of obviously a place or a genre and say, okay, that's where I'm coming from. But I think I'm coming from all of these places.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of cinema that I relate to. That's the kind of storytelling that I kind of place myself in. Even though lately I've been, it's almost like going back to my roots. I've been making films in my sort of what I would call my native language, my first language, which is Punjabi. It's a North Indian language. And I still, even though I left India at a very early age, I was like 8 years old. I speak the language fluently because at home it was always spoken.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I've been making films in that language, by the way. Yeah, lately I've done a number of films in that language.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Are they reaching more of an audience outside of India, or more or is it kind of mixed?
Yeah, well, as Punjabi audience, we have quite a dedicated large audience. In fact, a cinema audience. Literally all over the world, we have a large population of Punjabis in America, in Canada, in England, Australia, New Zealand, even Italy, places like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Punjabis have migrated. We are a very adventurous group of people.
True.
And so these films play all over the world, actually, as well as in India. And I, having grown up or spent most of my life outside of India in the Western culture, and having spent so many years in Hollywood, I try and imbue this sort of a Hollywood sort of a look to my films. And I'm like within that cinema, even my audience tells me, people, other filmmakers, my films look different even though they're in the same language. Because my approach is different. And when you watch one of my Punjabi films, you feel like you've been watching a Hollywood film, but it's just in the Punjabi language.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what would be some characteristics about Punjabi film that would be different from like a traditional Hollywood approach to filmmaking?
There's always, in our Punjabi films, we try and sort of relate to the culture as much as we can, because that's what our audience relates to.
True.
If they don't find something that's culturally attaches to them, relatable to them, the story doesn't make sense to them, even though it's in their language.
I get what you mean.
They don't connect to it.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of like maybe like the black cinema. If you really want to tell a story about a black family, culturally you got to have something that's relatable to them. It just can't be any story. And that's kind of like how it is with Punjabi cinema.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah.
That's cool. From my understanding of like the Punjabi culture is that it's very musical, very arts, very communal. I think of like Punjabi weddings and like music.
Oh, you're familiar with it,
and I think they're like they seem like the coolest thing. Punjabi music to me is
it's
like
amazing.
Some of the most enthralling, infectious music, and it's I don't know why, but it makes me happy. You know,
it is, and Punjabi poetry. It's very rich, very wealthy. And music, like you said, Bollywood cinema per se is what's films made in Hindi, which is sort of like the largely spoken or understood language in India. You can't make these days. You cannot make a Bollywood film or a Hindi language film without a Punjabi song in it. That's how strong Punjabi music is. It just audience just won't like it.
That's amazing.
Music is always Punjabi. Songs are always mostly in Punjabi. Or they mix them up in Hindi and Punjabi. But it's got to have that Punjabi touch to it. Otherwise, the music doesn't make any sense.
That's so cool.
That's how strong Punjabi music is.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't speak any Indian language, you know, like I would have never known that. Like,
like you said, weddings, Indian weddings. It could be a South Indian wedding, which is literally a totally different culture than from North India, Punjab. But they'll be playing Punjabi songs.
Of course. Oh, that's cool.
I was shooting a film, it's a period film, historical film that I made. I shot most of the film in England, but part of it I shot in India. So I was shooting in Rajasthan, which is another state from Punjab, in a city called Bikaner. It's quite far from Punjab itself.
Sure.
And we were shooting this old castle, and then we had this set outside, and there was a wedding going on in one portion of it. And they started playing some music, and then we went to them with a question, can you please kind of keep it down? You know, we're shooting on this other end of this. It was a huge complex. And, but they said, well, is it a Punjabi film? We said, it wasn't. It was an English film shooting this film. I said, well, yes, it's about a Punjabi guy, Punjabi culture. And is there Punjabi music in the film? So they're asking us these guys, there's a lot of Punjabi music in this film. And can we listen to the music afterwards? So we had to promise them that you can listen to some. Luckily I had a couple of songs in the background of the film that then they said, okay, then we can shut this down for a while for let you guys shoot.
That's cool.
That's how strong the influence is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so the Punjabi culture in Bollywood film, it takes such a large role because I guess so much of the musicality comes directly from Punjabi culture.
Yeah.
Is there like other aspects of Bollywood film that pull from other cultures? Like, is there like this culture does, I don't know, paintings really well, or this culture does, like the drama in this is like, this is really what we draw from in this, or is it just like, or what do you, I don't know.
So from time to time, yes, but Punjabi culture or the Punjabi society, the language itself, has a very strong influence on Bollywood.
Cool.
A lot of the earlier filmmakers and actors were Punjabis. The Raj Kapoor clan, they draw their life, their background to the Punjabi culture, the Pashtuns, Punjabis. Even Dilip Kumar, who was a huge star, passed away, Punjabi background. A lot of the actors even now are from a Punjabi background. And so you always see this Punjabi influence. And even sometimes in the storytelling, it'll be about a Punjabi family, or the main character will be Punjabi, or some sort of Punjabi background. It somehow or another is more acceptable throughout India and to Indian audiences.
Yeah.
And I mean, then there are other regional cinemas like South Indian, what we call South Indian cinema, which is films are being made in several different languages: Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam. These are the languages of South India. And that cinema is very strong.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, a film like RRR was one of the
Yeah.
That's a totally different cinema in India.
True.
And it doesn't come under the umbrella of Bollywood. It has its own sort of identity.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's, I guess so.
Yeah, so they're telling their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know, like, I really don't know a lot about how Bollywood cinema formed, like, really what the history of it is. I know that now, I mean, for most of my life, you know, I was born in the 80s. Most of my life, Bollywood cinema has been there.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing,
Yeah.
you know? But I take it that before, like, maybe it was, like, I don't know when it started. When did, like,
So
Bollywood cinema really
Indian
grow up?
cinema itself is over 100 years old.
wow.
More than that probably.
Yeah.
And I forgot the name of the film.
Sure.
The first film that was made, one of the first films that was made.
Okay.
So the cinema had a couple of different centers: Calcutta, Bombay itself. They used to, but Lahore, which is now, you know, in Pakistan, was one of the centers, major centers. That's where a lot of the studios were, and early beginnings of Indian cinema's journey. And Lahore is part of Punjab. It was part of Punjab. It's still part of Punjab. Punjab got divided when the British created India and Pakistan, when they left.
Yeah.
Part of Punjab was given to Pakistan side. Part of it is in India. Lahore went to the Pakistan side. That's where a lot of the cinema was centered. A lot of the studios were. And by the way, at that time, the biggest industry in India was Punjabi cinema. It wasn't Hindi. Films were made in Hindi, but Punjabi cinema was much larger.
Sure.
And when after the division of India into Pakistan and India, a lot of those actors and filmmakers moved over to India's side and came to Bombay. So the Punjabi cinema itself got divided into two different countries. They were making films in Pakistan in Punjabi, they were making films in India in Punjabi. In like 75 years ago. And it sustained kind of like that for a long time. And then Punjabi cinema it started dying down a little bit. And the last, I would say 20, 25 years, we have seen a sort of renaissance of Punjabi cinema. It's growing back again.
Yeah.
And it has a different identity from the so-called Bollywood cinema.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, can you talk about maybe some of your influences from, you know, Bollywood cinema's past, or like some?
I think my influences are probably mostly from Hollywood itself, because this is where I trained as an actor. This is where I got my sort of this sort of transition into directing and writing.
Yeah.
Right here. But I did watch a lot of Bollywood films. Even early on. Yeah. In England, growing up, every Saturday and Sunday, they would show Bollywood films. The town that I lived in, we lived in Coventry, and then we moved to this small town called Leamington Spa. On the weekends, they would show films there, Bollywood films there. Somebody would rent a local cinema and have these films. So my brother and myself, we would when we were in Coventry, there were two cinemas that were showing these Bollywood films, and these cinemas were opposite ends of the town. So we'd walk to one, watch the early morning matinee, then take a bus and go to the other one and watch an afternoon show. And then some Saturdays early in the morning I would watch an English Hollywood film like Hercules or something, Samson and Delilah, you know, those kind of. We were kids, those are the kind of films. And then we were going to watch a Bollywood film. So my influence maybe a little bit from Bollywood as well. I love the song and dance and the whhole drama, you know.
Sure. Yeah. There's a specific way
that
they represent drama, which is like it's different than what we do.
Very over the top.
Yeah.
The early cinema, it's getting much better. Acting was over the top.
Yeah.
And storytelling itself had a very heavy-handed.
Sure.
But people related to that. People, cinema worldwide appeals to Pacific audiences. and so Bollywood has had its place and still has its place, but it is evolving. I think a lot. Filmmakers are becoming much more sophisticated. Actors are also toning it down quite a bit and more of a naturalistic sort of acting.
Yeah.
And especially in the stuff that you see, Indian or Bollywood made stuff that you see on Netflix and Amazon and so, there's some really good work being done.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So it seems like more than ever, and from my perspective anyways, I'm by no means an expert, but it seems like that more than ever, like Indian cinema is everywhere. Like I feel like it's more like in the forefront.
It has found. I don't know if it's you could say an international audience.
Yeah.
Maybe in some ways yes. In the Middle East, it's heavily watched by not just Indians who live in those parts of the world, but other people as well. The Middle Eastern people themselves. In Iran, it's a very popular cinema.
Oh yeah.
In parts of Europe, Romania, Poland, in places like that, you'll see Czechoslovakia, you'll see Indian cinema being appreciated, Bollywood cinema being appreciated. So it's finding, I think, slowly. It's a Pacific cinema, no doubt, as opposed to Hollywood. But it's finding its audience out there, and it's doing quite well here.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, what kind of stories fascinate you? Like, what interests your creative mind?
I like true stories, history. I'm a bit of a history buff, Indian history. In fact, the last 2-3 films that I made, feature films, they were all historical films, period films. Again, somewhat relatable to my own background, my own roots. I recently released a film. Actually, it was released theatrically as well last year, and it's getting its digital release on the 15th of this month. It's a film called Saraba. I did shoot the film in the Punjabi language because most of the characters were Punjabi, but part of the story actually takes place in America, right in the USA. It's a story that took place over 100 years ago. India owes its independence to the USA because the movement for India's independence started right here on US soil, and my film was about that.
Wow.
Yeah, always about that. Yeah.
That's cool. That's not something I don't think I've ever heard anyone say.
No, it's such a little known fact that these early Indians, most of them are Punjabis that came here in the early 1900s, were inspired by American freedom. When they came here and they learned India was under British rule, and they learned what freedom meant by seeing the freedom in America.
Hey.
Even though they faced a lot of prejudice and hatred from the white populace, because they thought these ragheads, as that they used to call, unfortunately these Indians, were taking over, they're taking the jobs. The story is nothing new.
No, totally. No, it's so wild. But I guess it does make sense. We were, one of the first to rebuke the British and say, "Hey, look, man, we don't need y'all." I could see that inspiring a lot of
Indian,
people.
And Punjabis especially. Punjabis were overwhelmingly their contribution to India's independence is unmatchable. I would say their sacrifices. And most of these people were Punjabis that came here in the early 1900s and actually went back to fight for India's independence. And this film called Saraba is about that.
Nice. Yeah. So, what would you like to say through your art? Like, is there like an overriding message or many messages? Is there something
I always say, yes, when I write something or I want to make a film, I want to tell a good story. But I think the message itself, and I always say this, and that I shouldn't be the one trying to give a message.
Okay.
As a filmmaker, I think then I'm going to pigeonhole myself into, I'm going to send a message.
Sure.
I'm going to teach you something by making this film. And I always say, no, that's not my job.
Okay.
Those are the teachers should be teaching. Our places of faith and religion should be maybe enlightening us on things about life and so forth. Let me just tell a good story. And if I can tell you a good story, if you find something in this, that's great. If you find there's a message in it, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm not intending to send a message to you. I'm not. People often ask, "What's the message in this?" I don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of different messages in the film. Yeah.
True. There could be many messages,
Yeah.
depending on your perspective.
Depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
And I've learned this, and I've seen audiences will react to my films. I've seen this at film festivals. 6 different people will tell me they saw 6 different things in the film.
Wow.
And then I think that's important.
Yeah.
Let the audience take whatever they want to take out of it. And if you can make a film at that level, then I think it's a good thing.
I kind of agree. I think like it's hard enough to make a film compelling.
Yeah.
You know, like
to hold somebody's interest for 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah. If you can accomplish that, you know, like that's almost like a magic trick in itself.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Do you think that? I don't know. Do you think that there is any sort of responsibility that artists have?
Yeah. So because see, cinema, especially in cinema, I would say in any art, but cinema specifically is such a important weapon. I would say it's probably the strongest, the biggest, most powerful weapon invented by mankind, because it can influence minds, it can influence people.
Yeah.
You watch something and then it can change you, it can influence you. That's how strong of an impact it can have. So we do have a responsibility at that. And we do have a responsibility about, even to a great extent, the kind of language we put in there, the kind of language we use, the kind of stories we want to tell. Stories that need to be told, we should be telling. Because they just need to be told. They just history, what has happened to us, to people, to injustices that have happened over time. To certain people, certain minorities, certain people who the meek and the weak by the stronger. I think those stories need to be told.
I agree.
And I think that's the responsibility we have.
Absolutely.
Rather than making the same sort of garbage again and again, rom-coms and all that. Yeah, that's fun. That's good. Okay, they really not my cup of tea. I want to tell good, compelling stories that I think just needs to be told.
Yeah, I'm with you. What does it mean to you to be alive?
I'm thankful to God every day that I am alive. I think, it's the old cliche that we all have a purpose on this earth. I actually believe in that. I actually try to live up to that. That we have a purpose. We are here for a reason. Life should not be wasted. And each day should not be wasted. I like working all the time. I work 7 days a week. And I think for that reason by itself, I can't just sit around and waste my life. And because it's important. I was sent here for a reason. I'm here for whether you have faith in God or belief in God or some sort of. We are here for some reason. We were born on this earth for something, to do something. So life is important to me, and I'm grateful to, and I do have a belief and faith in God that I'm here for a reason, and I'm grateful for that. Each day that I wake up and I'm able to function, I'm grateful for that. Health, I think, is important. And as you get older, and I put my body through a lot. Like I said early on, I said I was in sports and stuff. And the aches and pains that you feel now, you have to kind of overcome them and say, no, I still got to function. I still got to go on.
Oh, man. I know that. Gee, I got so many. That could be a whole other podcast. Like, what are your aches and pains? Like, that's the next podcast. That's the next show right there. Every guest,
seriously.
just like 5 hours of. And then when I was 12, my knee, and then it still hurts to this day. Oh my God.
So I actually thought about this. I was writing this film, and I thought about this a lot. And this conversation between 2 best friends, and they're talking about aging and and so the character, I played a character, and then the character that I play, and I actually tell my friend is, all I want is that as I get older, then that I'll be healthy enough to hold my grandchildren in my hands, and be able to wipe their faces and their noses and look at them with a smile on my face. And when I pick them up, I pray that my knees don't hurt. and then when I pass away in my sleep. So all the painless things that you ask for in life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Please give us these painless things. Oh man, that's cool. Okay, so do you think like that the fact, okay, we're alive on this rock called Earth, right? But the fact that we're humans, do you think that gives us a special responsibility?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because we have a brain.
Yeah.
We can think, we can create, and unfortunately there are beings on this earth who don't function the way we function, Animals.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to them as well.
Yeah.
And I live in a place where we have this nice backyard and very wooded area, and houses are a little bit further apart from each other. So we get coyotes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we get those too.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, we're coyotes in the neighborhood," and I'm like, "So let it be."
I mean, this is their
they
land.
need a place to live as well.
Yeah.
And we I have rabbits running around all day long, and when I see them, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually like to water my garden a little bit more than anyone else, because rabbits need, they need to drink water.
They
so
do.
they need a little bit of a wetter place to. So I'm all into that.
I get you.
Yeah, I think we as human beings have a responsibility to this earth, and other beings, other lives, other life forms that are here as well. And it can't just be all about us.
Yeah.
And we can't just urbanize everything. We can't just build concrete jungles everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And forget that other lives have to exist as well.
Yeah. I know what you mean. The fact that you have a connection with these creatures around you.
Yeah.
When you said it makes you feel good, makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like,
it does.
Because I think that speaks
So
to
I planted all these fruit trees 2-3 years ago, and I go out. I had a peach tree that had about 2 dozen peaches on it, right? No, this is great. I'm thinning the peaches, so when you take all the little ones, the ones that are left, it'll go bigger.
Oh yeah.
I worked on the farm, and so I know a lot about it. And so I go out there for a week. About a few days later, and I see all my peaches are gone. Every one of them. Then I had some other fruit coming out, and they're all one by one. They're all disappearing. Some mulberries, all gone. And I'm like, neighbors can't be picking them.
Yeah.
Nobody's just walking by. Then I realized, it's the animals are eating it. The squirrels are eating this fruit. And, and I'm like, it didn't make me mad or anything. I don't want to go kill them.
No.
I'm like, maybe I'm planting this for them. Maybe it's meant for that.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to think.
So I have a little orchard going on, and I'm all good if they come and eat.
Hey man, well, that's so unselfish of you. That's great.
Yeah, so I got avocados, and I'll see how they climb up and eat half my avocados. And
you're a provider for like various species.
It makes me feel good that I'm nurturing their life.
Yeah.
And my wife will actually go out and she'll feed the squirrels and stuff. And I said, they have their own ecosystem. They can eat what they want to eat.
True.
You don't have to feed them.
You don't have to, but that's cute though, man. Oh, wow.
So we got hundreds of squirrels.
Wow. Oh man, they're telling all their friends. That's that's so cool. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about this platform that you have for content, for media, for films that are, from what I understand, it's basically films that are not so focused on white, like American culture. It's a platform for a lot of minorities, a lot of foreign films and stuff like that. Is that correct?
I think that the best way to say it is how you say it. A lot of it's all about non-white cinema, or non-white content. Even though we have a lot of white characters in some of the stories we tell.
Sure.
but it's not anti-white or anything.
No, no.
It's just that it's filling a gap that Hollywood isn't.
What's it called?
It's called CPICS. C, the letter C, P-I-C-S. C stands for crossover, as well as to see.
See pics.
Yeah,
that's
see
good.
these pictures. Yeah. So initially, it started off as focusing on South Asian stories, South Asian, the region of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, that part of the world, and that people like us that come from that part of the world, telling our stories.
Yeah.
So we made a lot of content, web series, reality shows, original content that slowly now is releasing on the platform. We acquired a lot of films about South Asians, web series and documentaries and so forth. Then now slowly it's kind of like mushrooming into other cultures as well. We have Persian cinema on there. We have Philippine cinema on there. Southeast Asian cinema on there. Cinema from Malaysia, Singapore, Burma, that part of the world. Indonesian films.
Oh, yeah.
So we are acquiring content from all over the world. So it's becoming, I would say, sort of an alternative to Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and all these Peacock, all these platforms. They're basically still catering to the mainstream audience. They have a little bit of all this different content, but not as heavy as we are focusing. So we're trying to tell stories that no one else is telling.
Absolutely.
That's what we're focusing on.
That's beautiful.
Cinema from Africa. We're trying to acquire a lot of stuff from Africa now.
Yeah.
We want to tell those stories. We're actually in the process of hopefully doing some co-productions with Nigeria.
Ooh,
Nigerian cinema.
Cinema is blowing up.
It's blowing up,
Yeah.
and they're telling them some amazing stories. We want to be part of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where we
Smart.
are. That's kind of like what CPICS is.
Very cool.
It's getting a lot of attention, and hopefully it'll sustain itself and grow and be a presence in Hollywood, telling stories that no one else is. I mean, that's probably the best tagline I can give it.
Hey, I love that. I mean, honestly, like I am excited about it because like I have talked with KP for a while about this, but like other people too. Like I'm Persian and I'm a fan of Persian cinema, but I almost never see it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it you just can't find anywhere.
You can't find it, yeah.
So the fact that you have something like that is so cool.
We actually, and a lot of the content that we made is based in the USA or Canada or England. We shot it here.
Nice.
And we are actually looking into maybe doing a web series about Persians
Yeah.
set here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We have the largest Persian population right in Los Angeles. What is it? 750,000, 700,000
It's so
Persians?
many. I don't even know.
That relate to. I actually did a cooking show with our main the main girl who's in it is Persian.
Oh. Is
Bibi.
it Persian cooking?
No, it's she does Indian cooking, all kinds of different stuff.
Cool.
But she's Persian.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're experimenting with stuff like that.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there one particular thing that's coming up that you're working on that you're excited about that you can actually talk about?
We got so many shows.
Yeah.
Just this one being a cooking show, but it's more than a cooking show. It's not really It's not just about food. It's about her personality as well.
Oh, I love that.
We got a lot of different stuff. We have a show called coming up called Chutney Manor. Chutney Manor. It's gonna be It's about a Indian family, Gujarati family running a motel. Very relatable.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we have another show called Dating Desi Style. It's actually a dating show about South Asians.
It's a great title.
Yeah. We have a show coming up about Indian girls, South Asian girls who are into bodybuilding. I mean, you don't hear stuff like
I will watch that.
It's just they're
That's
into
fascinating.
healthy living, bodybuilding, and competitive bodybuilding. So we did a show about that. So we experiment with all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
Fashion shows, fashion designers who are up and coming. We did a real estate show, where these Indian or South Asian real estate agents start selling real estate and how they're finding their clients and so on.
Fantastic.
We just did a show about a truck driver. There are a lot of truck drivers on North American highways and freeways.
Oh, I heard about this.
From India.
Yeah.
And a lot of them Punjabis, like
That's right,
myself.
yeah.
And so we did a show about a truck driver who tracks across the country from West Coast to East Coast and back. And he talks about his journey, and we follow him. We go with him on this journey.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that.
Yeah, this is all fascinating. Like every one of these
I mean, no one
is
else.
so interesting.
Netflix didn't want to do that, so we're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
So, what gave you the idea to build this platform? Like, how did that start?
It actually grew out of my own frustrations. I was making films, and I've written scripts that I couldn't see, that I tried to get them produced, and I couldn't get anyone to produce them at Netflix and Amazon. And I came to a point where I thought, how many more years do I have that I can continue working at this level?
Yeah.
And I can't spend 3 years, 4 years, 5 years trying to put a project together.
Yeah.
A film together, and then no sort of a avenue to show it, to get it to my audiences. That's the hardest thing. You can make a film, raise some money, make a film or a series, but how do you find this audience? Because you don't have the distribution in your hands. You gotta go to somebody, and then, oh no, we're not looking for this kind of thing right now. It doesn't quite fit us right now. So I've always sort of like taken the bull by the horn in my life and done things my way. I said, well, I'll launch my own platform.
Yeah.
I'll try and find my own audience. And that's what I did. I have films that I made and web series that I made over the years that never really found a proper place, a distribution place. Now, besides the new content that we made, about a dozen pieces of content that I made over the years. Now they're going to have a place. Now they're going to have a home, and hopefully we'll find an audience.
Yeah.
I'll release them on my own platform.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So this film we also spoke about earlier, Swaba.
Yes.
I released this in cinemas on my own. I founded a distribution company, a theatrical distribution company. When I wanted to release this film, I was approaching other companies that would release the film theatrically worldwide, and the kind of deals I was getting just wasn't working for me. So I thought, no, wait a minute, I'm going to do this myself. I've done things in the past myself. So I actually released that film. I registered myself as a distributor, theatrical distributor in the US, Canada, and in England. And then I found a partner in Australia, New Zealand, and I have a partner in India. So we released this film worldwide in theaters ourselves.
Yeah.
And booked cinemas ourselves through my own company.
Yeah.
And now the digital release is going to be on our own platform, CPIX.
Yeah.
So it's
That's amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so it seems to me like you have a very strong sense of confidence, belief in yourself. Is that something that you've had to cultivate?
No, I think I always had that. Even as a child, I always had that. I was always very confident. I just did things. I mean, I never really. I didn't think too much about I didn't always succeed.
Sure. Yeah.
I probably failed more times than
That's
finding
part of
success.
it, though. Like being okay with the failures.
I'm okay. Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I mean, again, the old cliche: the failures are the pillars of success.
Sure.
Yeah. Surely.
Yeah.
Failures can get you down. Failures can emotionally flatten you, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I've always found myself that I can bounce back and try it again. Maybe with a little bit of a different outlook.
Yeah.
Hopefully, having learned from those failures. But I've never given up. I think that's something I owe to my upbringing, just the way I am. I don't run away easy. I don't have much fear. I've never really seen myself that I've ever been afraid of something and have to run away from that.
Yeah.
I won't say I'm fearless.
Sure.
In that sense, you always need to be cautious.
Yeah.
But
you've always been bold.
I think in a sense, fear doesn't drive me.
Mm.
Maybe that's probably the best way
Sure.
to say.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so many of us are driven by fear, actually.
It can get you down.
Yeah.
I mean, it really can, because there's so many things to be afraid of out there.
Yeah.
So many things.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just a lot to do with what I've lived through in my life. I mean, growing up in England, I saw a lot of, not just saw, lived through a lot of prejudice from the white boys in school. We would always, every single day, we had to go through that. There were Indian population in England at that time, and especially where we lived in a very small town. Very few of us. We only had 5 Indian students in the entire high school.
Oh my God.
And we had to face the wrath of the white boys almost on a daily basis, and having, living with that, and you couldn't live that life with fear.
No.
You had to had to be strong.
Yeah.
And just imagine being spat on and being walked down the hall and you just suddenly punched from the back or kicked from the back.
Oh my God.
And called all kinds of names. Unmentionable type of names.
Yeah.
But having lived that kind of a life, people talk about racism here. I have lived through that kind of racism. I've lived with that.
Yeah.
And I think in a way it makes you strong, because it's you do become somewhat fearless, I think.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with how you react to the situation.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you never internalize any of the negativity.
I always I
second.
didn't. I know. Because I always knew and thought I was better than that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember a teacher once. He was our drawing teacher. There was a class called architectural drawing.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
And he's trying to explain to the white boys, and because there was a fight out in the hallway, and I was involved in the fight. These 3 or 4 kids attacked me, so naturally I fought back. I got hit pretty bad because 3 or 4 boys.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
So next we go into the class, and this teacher's trying to explain to them, to the white boys, about how the British ruled over India, and blah blah blah, and so we have he was trying to tell them that we have a very strong connection to India and Indian culture. We should respect Indians and living here and so. And I still remember that. I mean, I was like 12 or 13 years old maybe. Thinking back, that's not how I want to be explained. Yes, the British ruled over India. Yes, in a way, the Indians were enslaved basically. But that's not how I want to think about that. That's not. I don't want to think on those terms. I want to think about my brave Indians, my ancestors, who fought to kick the British out of India.
Yeah.
I want to think about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's where my mindset is. I want to think about my father, even though he was a British India Army fighting under that flag. I want to think about my father being a brave soldier fighting in the Burma border as a soldier, as a Punjabi Sikh soldier. I want to think about that. I don't want to think about him fighting under the British flag.
Yeah.
No, I want to think about him fighting as an Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Perspective is so important.
Perspective is so important. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So imagine, if you will, that today we find out, unfortunately, is your last day on this realm. You've got, 10 minutes left in your life, and you get to do what you want with that time. Is there anything that you would like to accomplish, or anything that you wish you could have done that you didn't do, or what would you do with that time?
Oh, that is a heavy question.
Yeah, it's a heavy question.
Yeah. Fortunately, I come from a culture. I come from a background. Our faith is Sikhism.
Yeah.
Sikhs.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Sikhs, even though I don't wear a turban, my father did. My father had a long beard, nice, beautiful flowing beard, and wore a turban. He was actually a baptized Sikh. we're taught from early childhood. It's part of our psyche, part of our upbringing, part of who we are, that our first duty is service to mankind, service to humanity. So if I had 10 minutes left, somebody, somehow I was told that 10 more minutes, I pray that those 10 minutes are devoted to doing some good. Not for myself, maybe I can save a life. Maybe I can leave something behind that I can do within those 10 minutes that's going to benefit this earth, benefit somebody else, not necessarily me. Yeah, and I really mean that.
I wish that we could live a life where that kind of existence, where we are focusing on helping other people, became an everyday thing.
Wouldn't it be a beautiful world? Every day we allow ourselves, and we put ourselves in a situation that we take even a small portion of that days where we're helping others, we're doing something, and humanity at large is accepting of that, right, and not suspicious of it. We have come in our lives, especially in how our country is functioning now, the USA. The suspicion has set in, where even if you try and do some good, let's say for your neighbor, you want to do some. Let's say I went across and I just wanted to clean his front yard or something. He's going to be more suspicious of me first. Absolutely. Than saying, "Oh, thank you for doing that."
It's so sad, but it's true.
That's sad, but it's true.
We do need like some specific shifts in our culture. And I think more and more people are becoming aware. And I think
more and more people become aware, the easier it will become. More, I think, cohesive sort of a society we will become. Where we function as a society, as this huge village, living together, helping each other. And helping doesn't mean that each day, we go out and try and do things with, sometimes just small things, sometimes just a gesture. Sometimes just, you come to a four-way stop and there's somebody, you tell the other driver, you go first, it's okay, I have time.
Absolutely.
I gesture, and I always try and give the kindest gesture I can. Please, I don't do this, go. Some small stuff like that. That makes you feel good and makes the other person feel good.
Absolutely.
And from that it can multiply. It can manifest itself into something bigger, hopefully.
Cool. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to? Any shout outs that you would like to do to anyone?
No. We talked about this platform I launched, CPICS. Hopefully people will check it out. It's letter C, PICS.
Yes, check it out. Check it out.
Check it out. There's all kinds of content on it. Subscribe if you can. Watch some really wonderful films from around the world. TV series, films, and documentaries. And a lot of original content that's going to be coming up. We have some already released. Every month releasing a couple of new pieces.
Cool.
Watch it and help us make it grow so we can tell more wonderful stories about people, about stories that are not being told by mainstream Hollywood.
That's beautiful. Thank you for doing what you do. And
thank you.
And thanks for riding with me on the train.
Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful ride, and hopefully I can do this again.
Absolutely. One last time, tell us how we can find you.
Just Google my name, Kavi Raz.
Cool.
Kavi Raz. I spell R-A-Z, R-A-Z. Kavi Raz. Just Google me. I'm on, write me an email, kavi@kavirazstudios.com.
Oh, wow.
Kaviraz Studios with an S in the end.com.
Cool.
You can write me an email. I always respond.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you for being so open. This has been such a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
And thanks for riding the train.
Thank you for having me.
I think your stop is coming up, so I will bid you adieu, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
God bless you.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time on Train Talk.